Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of running for public office here in the Philippines.
That's right.
You want the essentials, quickly but also thoroughly, right? Well, that's what we're aiming for.
Exactly. We're diving into the legal stuff, the Constitution, the Omnibus Election Code, Kamulak rules.
But pulling out just the key bits. Who can actually run, and what hoops do they have to jump through?
Think of it as your cheat sheet to understanding candidacy. No getting lost in legalese.
Our mission. Just the core insights. Simple as that.
And it is a structured system. I mean, these rules are there, supposedly, to keep things fair, give everyone a shot.
Right. Understanding the basics helps make sense of the whole, sometimes chaotic election scene.
Absolutely. It's foundational.
Okay, let's get started then. Who actually qualifies? Because it's definitely not just anyone, and it changes depending on the job, right?
Precisely. The requirements vary quite a bit.
Let's start at the top. National positions.
Mm-hmm.
President and vice president.
Okay. For president and VP, you need 5 key things. 1, be a natural-born Filipino citizen.
Natural-born, okay.
2, a registered voter. 3, you have to be able to read and write.
Basic literacy, got it.
4, you've got to be at least 40 years old on election day itself.
40, that's a fairly high bar.
It is. And 5, you need to have lived in the Philippines for at least 10 years right before the election.
10 years residency, wow. Yeah, that age and a long residency requirement, they really stand out, don't they?
They do. The Constitution sets that high standard for the top spots, probably looking for, maturity, experience, a deep connection to the country.
Makes sense.
Now, moving down a bit to senators, some things are similar, but there are key differences.
Okay, how so?
You still need to be natural-born or a registered voter and able to read and write. That's the same.
Right.
But the age drops to 35.
35. Okay, a bit younger.
And the residency requirement is much shorter, just 2 years immediately before the election.
2 years instead of 10. That's a big difference.
It is. It sort of suggests maybe a balance, needing national leadership qualities, but perhaps opening it up to a slightly wider group.
Yeah, interesting. A younger age, much less residency, maybe more focus on representing the whole country versus that long-term executive kind of experience needed for president.
Could be. It's a different kind of role. Now, what about the House of Representatives? Representing a specific district.
Right, the congressmen and women.
Yeah. So for them, the criteria get more local. Still need to be natural-born, able to read and write, but the age requirement drops again to 25.
25, okay.
And crucially, you have to be a registered voter in the district you want to represent.
Okay, not just anywhere in the country.
Exactly. And you need to have lived in that district for at least 1 year right before the election.
1 year in the district. So it really emphasizes that local connection, being part of that community.
Absolutely. It's about direct representation, accountability to those specific people.
Makes total sense. Okay, let's zoom in even further. Local government, governors, mayors, councilors, that sort of thing. What are the rules there?
For those local elective jobs, the qualifications are a bit more general, though the age can tweak slightly.
How so?
Generally, you need to be a Filipino citizen, note, not necessarily natural-born for all local posts, just a citizen.
Oh, interesting distinction there.
Yes. Registered voter in the area, the province, city, or municipality, able to read and write, of course.
Right.
And a resident of that specific locality for at least 1 year just before the election, similar to the House district rule.
And the age.
For provincial officials like governors and city officials like mayors, the minimum age is 23 on election day.
23. Okay.
So again, the common thread is being registered and living right there in the community you want to serve. Local ties are key.
Definitely. Now, there's also the party list system. That's pretty unique to the Philippines, right?
Right.
Representing specific sectors.
It is unique, and it has its own set of qualifications.
What are those?
Okay. Party list representatives need to be Filipino citizens, registered voters, able to read and write, standard stuff so far, need to be a resident of the Philippines anywhere in the country for at least 1 year before the election.
Oh.
But here's the kicker. You must be a bona fide member of the party or organization you're representing for at least 90 days before Election Day.
90 days membership, so you can't just jump into a party list at the last minute.
Exactly. It's meant to ensure genuine representation from these sectors through, established groups, not just individuals using it as a loophole.
Right, got it. Okay, so that covers who can run, but just as important is who can't. What legally stops someone from throwing their hat in the ring, the due qualifications.
Yeah, there are several grounds for disqualification designed to protect the integrity of the whole process.
Like what?
Well, the most obvious one. If you're not a Filipino citizen, you can't run for any elective public office, period.
Okay, clear enough.
Yeah.
What else?
Then there's conviction for certain crimes. If you've been convicted by a final judgment, meaning all appeals are done of a crime involving moral turpitude.
Moral turpitude. What does that actually mean in practice?
It generally refers to crimes that are seen as inherently base, vile, or wicked, contrary to accepted rules of morality. Or it also applies if the crime carries a penalty of imprisonment for more than 18 months.
So it's not just any crime, but something serious or something that reflects badly on character.
Exactly. The nature of the crime matters. Another big one is being removed from public office because of an administrative case.
So getting fired from a government job for cause.
Pretty much. But there's a way back, potentially. If you get a pardon or if your civil and political rights are officially restored, that disqualification can be lifted.
Interesting. So accountability, but also a path to maybe rehabilitation.
Potentially, yes. Then we have term limits. Those are a big factor.
Right, designed to stop people holding on to power forever. How do those work?
Okay, for the president, it's simple. 1 6-year term. That's it. No re-election.
One and done.
Yep. For senators, they can serve a maximum of 2 consecutive 6-year terms.
Consecutive, so 12 years straight, then they have to take a break.
Exactly. They have to sit out at least 1 term before they can run for senator again.
Okay. And for the House and local officials?
For the House members and most local officials, like governors and mayors, it's 3 consecutive 3-year terms.
So 9 years straight, maximum, then a required break.
That's the rule. The emphasis is always on consecutive. A break resets the count.
Got it. Keeps things moving, ideally. Any other disqualifiers?
A couple more. If someone has been declared insane or incompetent by a final court judgment, they're disqualified.
Okay, that makes sense.
And government employees, people in the civil service, military, police, they generally have to resign from their job at least 1 year before the election if they want to run.
A whole year before? Why so long?
The idea is to prevent them from using their government position, the resources, the influence for campaigning, leveling the playing field.
Okay. Prevents conflicts of interest too, I suppose.
Right. And one last one. If someone is under preventive suspension from their government job while facing charges, they can't run unless that suspension is lifted or they're cleared.
So you can't run for office while you're suspended pending investigation?
Basically, yes. It avoids having people under a serious cloud-seeking office.
Okay, that's a pretty comprehensive list of who can't run. So let's say someone ticks all the can-run boxes and none of the can't-run ones. What's the actual process? How do they officially become a candidate?
The big step is filing the Certificate of Candidacy, the COC.
The COC. Okay.
This is the official formal document where you declare, I intend to run for this specific office.
There's a deadline for this.
Absolutely. COMEX sets a specific filing period, usually several months before Election Day, and they are very strict about that deadline. Late filing, not allowed.
No extensions. You miss it, you're out.
Pretty much. It's crucial for getting ballots printed and everything organized.
Okay. What information actually goes into this COC?
It's quite detailed. You need your full legal name, any nickname the voters might know you by.
The nickname is official.
Yes, it goes on the ballot often. Also, your political party, if you have one, the specific position you're running for.
Right.
A statement confirming you meet all the legal qualifications for that job. And critically, a sworn statement saying everything in the COC is true.
Sworn. Like under oath.
Yes, you have to sign it under oath before an authorized official. It's a serious legal document.
So lying on your COC can get you into trouble.
Big trouble. We'll maybe touch on that later.
Okay. Now, what if something happens after someone files? Like they pass away or get disqualified after the deadline. Can someone take their place?
Yes, that's where substitution comes in. If a candidate dies, withdraws, or gets disqualified by COMLEC after the filing deadline, their political party can usually nominate a substitute.
Usually. Are there conditions?
Yes. The substitute must be from the same political party as the original candidate.
Okay, same party.
And the substitute has to file their own COC before Election Day. It allows parties to still field a candidate, even if something unexpected happens.
So the party doesn't automatically lose that slot. But it has to be someone already in their ranks.
Correct. It's not just bringing in anyone off the street. What if someone just changes their mind, though? Can they back out?
Good question. What if they just decide, nah, not for me anymore?
They can withdraw. A candidate can pull out any time before Election Day. They just need to submit a formal written notice of withdrawal to COMEC.
And then their name comes off the ballot.
Usually, yes, if there's time. If ballots are already printed, it might be too late for that, but their votes wouldn't be counted.
Okay. Now, something we hear about a lot is nuisance candidates. What does that legally mean in the Philippines?
Nuisance candidates. Basically, COMEC sees them as people who file a COC without any real, genuine intention of running for office.
So why would someone do that?
Well, the law lists a few reasons why COMEC might declare someone a nuisance. Maybe their name is confusingly similar to a serious candidate, potentially splitting votes.
The spoiler effect.
Right. Or maybe they file just to make a mockery of the process, or even to harass or disadvantage another candidate.
Okay, and COMLEC can actually kick them off the ballot.
Yes. If COMEC believes a candidate fits that description, no genuine intent likely to cause confusion, filed in bad faith, they can cancel the COC. They might look at things like, does this person actually have the resources to campaign? Any track record? Is the name issue significant?
So it's a judgment call by COMLEC to weed out non-serious contenders.
Exactly, trying to keep the ballot focused on viable candidates.
Okay, let's go back to that moment someone files their COC. Does that act itself trigger any immediate changes for them, like with their job?
Oh, yes. It definitely can, especially for government officials who are appointed to their jobs.
Appointed, like cabinet secretaries or heads of agencies?
Yes, or even rank-and-file civil service employees, members of the military, police. The rule is the moment they file a COC for an elective office, they are considered automatically resigned from their point of position.
Automatically resigned, just like that.
Just like that. No need for a formal resignation letter. Filing the COC is the resignation.
Wow. Why is that?
It's mainly to prevent them using the power, resources, and influence of their current government job to boost their campaign unfairly. Keeps things separate.
That's a major consequence. What about people already in elected office? Say a mayor runs for governor. Do they automatically resign as mayor?
Generally, no. Elective officials usually don't automatically resign when they file a COC for a different elective post.
Oh, okay.
They can typically stay in their current job while campaigning for the new one.
So they can keep serving as mayor while running for governor.
Usually. There might be exceptions if the positions are clearly incompatible, like maybe a local official running for a national post, but the general rule is they don't have to resign automatically like appointed officials do.
Interesting difference there. Now, we often see people campaigning, or what looks like campaigning, way before the official campaign period starts. Is that allowed?
Premature campaigning. Well, under the current law, specifically Republic Act 9369,
Okay.
things people do before the official campaign period starts are generally not considered illegal premature campaigning.
Really? So all those early ads and events are okay?
Legally speaking, the law says someone is only officially considered a candidate once the campaign period for the office they seek begins. So actions before that start date meetings, expressing intent, posters maybe aren't technically election offenses under the code?
Huh. So the gloves are off until that official start date.
In a way, yes, regarding that specific offense.
Right.
But once the official campaign period does start, then all the rules kick in, spending limits, prohibited activities, everything. That date is the crucial dividing line.
Okay, so the official start date is really significant. Now, what if someone does break the rules during the campaign? Or someone challenges their qualifications even after they filed a COC and started campaigning?
That's where disqualification cases come into play. A candidate can definitely be challenged and potentially disqualified for breaking election laws.
Like what kind of violations?
Common ones are exceeding campaign spending limits, engaging in vote buying, using government resources illegally, things like that.
Okay.
Or they could be disqualified for lying on their COC, misrepresenting their qualifications, for example.
We mentioned that earlier, so that can come back to bite them.
Absolutely. COMEC and ultimately the courts handle these disqualification cases, and they can disqualify someone even after the election if a violation is proven.
Wow, even after they've potentially won.
Yes, it can happen. So it's not just about qualifying initially. You have to follow the rules all the way through.
And if a candidate thinks COMLEC got it wrong, if COMLEC disqualifies them or refuses to disqualify someone else, can they appeal?
Yes, they can seek judicial review. The usual path is to file a petition for certiorari with the Supreme Court.
Certiorari.
Yeah.
Asking the highest court to review the decision.
Exactly. The Supreme Court will look at whether Kamlek acted with what's called grave abuse of discretion, basically. Did they act arbitrarily or whimsically or without basis in law or evidence?
But does the Supreme Court often overturn Kalmak?
Generally, the court gives a lot of weight to Kamlek's findings of fact. They tend to respect Kamlek's conclusions unless there's a really clear showing of that grave abuse of discretion. They won't usually reweigh all the evidence themselves.
So appealing to the Supreme Court is possible, but it's a high bar to clear.
It can be, yes. Kamlek decisions carry significant weight.
Okay, wow. Let's try and pull this all together. We've covered a lot of ground.
We certainly have.
From who's eligible for president down to local roles, the party list, then the disqualifications like citizenship, crimes, term limits.
The whole process of filing the COC, substitutions, withdrawals.
Right, nuisance candidates, the automatic resignation rule for some officials, the timing of campaigning.
And finally, how disqualification cases work and the role of the courts.
It's definitely a complex system with lots of layers. Hopefully this deep dive has made that legal framework a bit clearer for you listening.
Yeah, it's really a system designed, at least on paper, to ensure candidates meet basic standards and follow set procedures. It underpins the whole electoral structure.
So thinking about all these rules we've just discussed, the qualifications, who gets barred, the paperwork, the potential challenges, what really stands out to you? What do you see as maybe the biggest hurdles or maybe the most, interesting parts of trying to run for office here? And what does it all make you wonder about who actually gets the chance to run and ultimately lead the country? Something for you to chew on as you watch the next election cycle unfold. That's your deeper dive.